Welcome to the OpenFGA community meeting for December, last one of the year. We have some people that are going to do some demos today that are not from the OpenFGA team, which is always great. So thank you, Pauline, for accepting the invitation. We usually have a very similar agenda. We introduce ourselves, we mention the things we shipped, we do some demos. We talked about what is going to happen in the near future with the project. We share some news from the community if there are, and then we do an open Q&A. So this is the OpenFGA team. We not everyone is in the meeting today, but this is kind of the core team. We've been working together for a while, and you see to the right the place where they were born or where they are working on, depending on each person's preference. And this is the good news for us and for everyone in the community is that we are getting a new team to start working with us starting January. So it's a big team that was working with Okta in something different, and now it's going to start collaborating with OpenFGA. So hopefully we can start moving faster and ship more things for everyone's benefits. So it's going to be an issue because if everyone from our team now is attend these meetings, it will be kind of mostly us, right? So we probably try to pick and be selective about who wants to attend each time. So if any of you, so in general, what we do is if you are new to the community or if you are feeling like that, if you can share what you do, what you're working for, what is you're using OpenFGA for, that will be nice. You can do it with just unmuting yourself and presenting, or you just can write something in the chat if you prefer to do that. But I will kind of shut up for a minute and see if anyone wants to introduce themselves and share what they're doing with the project.
Hi,
Yes.
this is, oh, maybe.
Sorry, go.
Yeah, hi, this is Sirish, and I'm currently located in Germany, and I'm working for BMW. And as of now, we only use Keycloak with normal authorization policies, but we are looking into new use cases where we can do this reback-based authorization. So it's just out of curiosity, I was interested in learning. So this is my first meeting, and I just evaluated the online demo simulation. It was very cool. So I just want to learn more about OpenFGA.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
As you see there, you have Matt, which is a fan of Volkswagen there. And so, anyone else?
Yes, I'm Pauline. I'm in France, and I work for Agicap, and I will tell you more about it later. So, yeah, just out of curiosity.
Awesome.
Hello, I'm Yann. I'm also working at Agicap. I'm located in France too. And also I started working on the IntelliJ plugin.
Awesome.
Talk more, but I think we started to use a very early version of OpenFGA. It was like 0.3 or something like that.
Cool. Yeah, we are gonna work together with you on the IntelliJ thing pretty soon. So excited about it.
I guess I'll take the next round because I'm the last member of the team of Pauline and Yann. So hi everyone, my name is Jeffery. I'm also from France. I'm a software engineer at the same company Agicap as they are. And I started working with OpenFGA almost a year ago when it has been published as the beta version 0.3 or 0.4, I don't remember. And I met some issues, mostly about the .NET SDK, because this is my language of choice. Mm-hmm. And we will explain to you later why we decided to have it and how we use it. It's very fun, and I really enjoy this technology. Very cool guy.
Awesome, thank you. Great. Anyone else wants to introduce themselves? If not, we can just move forward. feel free to just mention that in the chat if you want later. Okay, great. So, so this is what we've been working on, and you may have seen that we've been working the last few months on a feature we call conditional relationships, which is a way to add kind of what we call the ABAC-like policies to OpenFGA models. We demoed it that last meeting, so I'm not going to repeat the demo this time, but the product is already there. There's documentation, so hopefully you can figure it out, and if not, you can also watch the previous meeting that is recorded and see a full demo. We don't have support everywhere yet. In particular, the .NET SDK and the Python SDK still don't have the endpoints or the modifications to write and check to be able to write these conditional relations and check for them, but we're working on those. We'll be there pretty soon. So if you need to use them from those languages, you need to use the APIs directly instead of the SDKs. And something else we've been working on that Daniel is going to demo is today, if you want to add in a relation something like a viewer and editor or whatever, that is not, you cannot do it in a single line. You need to define an intermediate relationship. And now we added support for adding parentheses in the relationship expression. So it's simpler to add more complex relationships there. And also, if you're using gRPC directly, we by mistake, we did a breaking change in 138. We were supposed to do that in 140, but we did it in 138. And so just be aware of you're migrating to these versions that the gRPC contract changed. And so we have Pauline from Agicap, as they mentioned. They've been working with OpenFGA for a while, and been doing some things that I found that will be nice to share. So I won't give you more details, and I will let her explain what they're doing and why. I will stop sharing now. Pauline, if you want to share yourself.
Yes. Yeah, I will do a quick introduction, and it's going to be Yann and Jeffery that are going to do the whole demo part, because they are the ones that mainly worked on it. So it's fair. So what is Agicap? Agicap is a financial management software, and we are focused on helping businesses with their cash flow management. So basically, we are centralizing cash flows, and automating tasks. So it allows businesses to focus on their businesses, and we are providing analysis and decision making based on financial data. So it's like a complete solution, providing like a feature for monitoring, planning, and analyzing cash flow. And yes, it's we started with SMBs as our main clients, and then we are moving to a mid-sized company as well as group level cash management companies. So that's why we needed a more secure and robust authorization system. So basically, we had like a little authorization on our database, like little roles, just 2 roles and some booleans somewhere, and it was not. We needed to scale for our mid-market clients, so that's why we started to look into solutions, and actually we came quickly to the conclusion that we needed to use a Reback solution, and then we started to look at solution on the market, and we found OpenFGA, and why we picked OpenFGA because it seemed reliable and efficient solutions that allowed us to implement a great authorization process, and also because it's a seamless integration with C# code base, actually, because the SDK works very well. And we wanted an on-premise solution and an open source solution. So yeah, it's on-premise option. It's ensure we have control over our data and security. And because we are working in the finance fintech. It's very important to us. So yeah, and we are very happy to see that there is a great community, like the new version you just presented, Andres. We are very happy about conditional access because we need it. So yeah, we are pretty happy with the choice we made. And yeah, we are using it in production since like 6 months now. And so far, so good. And what we would like to introduce to you today is because Agicap is a very domain-driven, design-centric company. We like this a lot in our company, and we wanted our product managers to be very implicated in our authorization model. We wanted to build it with them, and we wanted our access management system to be really about our domain, our business rules, and not just a technical solution. So we found a cool way actually to do that, and it's to write BDD tests, BDD test-like. So first we're going to show you a version of our authorization model, a simplified one, of course, and then we're going to show you what we built to really exploit the BDD testing thing, and yeah, we are pretty happy with it because our product manager of our team is really fond of this thing, and she is writing a lot of tests herself. So it's a great success. So maybe Yann, you can take the lead.
Yes. Also, something that can be important to mention is that we started this before the FGA CLI was published. So we don't rely on it yet. And it's a lot of homemade stuff, but it does the job. So maybe I can share my screen. Why do I share my screen in Zoom? Screen stuff. It's this one. Okay. So basically, so this is our authorization model for now. It's kind of simple, not overcomplicated. And the idea was to write some tests like this. It's using YAML, so it's easily parsable for us. But it's the idea is to be really understandable by the project manager. Usually, the project manager starts to write them when she starts the user story. She writes the first version of them, and then we pair. We literally do pairing with her, and we write the test in our projects. So it's really readable. We have usually we have one file for each scenarios. So we have a description for each test. In each test, you have the given part, which is the tuple that are about the errand stuff. So here, for example, if I define an actor where the type is user and the ID is test, and I have a relation called administrator with the object with object type entity object ID corp, then I'm expected to have the same relation, of course. So the given is the tuple, and then is the evaluation. So this is kind of a straightforward test. Maybe I can just show the, like if I go here. Yes. So, for example, so I have this very simple. I have a user and type user and type entity, and I want to add a member relation to list the member of an entity. So what I would do with RPM, we would write a test file, which is an entity member YAML file. Okay, kind of lazy here. Paste entity members. So description, user can be member of an entity. I will just copy paste that. And you think that this test might be useless, but actually it's not. Well, I can keep the same name, it's not important. Why this test is important? When I run the tests here, so the test is based on what it does. It takes the JSON model. It's run against a running OpenFGA server. So basically, I transform the DSL to a JSON. I upload it to OpenFGA server, and then I run all the tests are transformed into a query check with the tuples, contextual tuples. And here, so obviously, I have an error because the entity member does not exist in my here. Okay, so all the tests are green now. And why even this simple test is important, because this is going into our repository, and the CI actually does run all the tests. So for example, if I took the CI, so we have a step to transform the DSL into JSON, and we run the test. So now in my repository, I'm guaranteed that I can't erase by mistake this relation if I do the test won't pass. Then the JSON can be deployed in our environments. And then I can go further, because maybe that an entity administrator is sorry if my English is not. So if administrator sorry, then for okay here. So the test is failing, of course, and it's telling me like when I check, it's not. And of course, that's because I just need to add administrator. That's pretty it. What we look for, it's really secure our authorization model, because this authorization model is used for all the application and all the environments. We have 3 environments: developments, pre-production, and production. So we don't want to break one, because all developers are using them. The product manager are using them for QA and everything. So this way we ensure so nothing breaks by mistakes. And what's next? That we'd like to use the FGA CLI. For example, it would be simpler for the transformation and everything else.
Makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah, and perfect. Thank you very much. I think this is a very good idea, right? And I see also the potential of enhancing the CLI to support a syntax like this one. So in addition of the one we have today that is more oriented for developers, we can have one that is more oriented for product managers or non-technical users that enables something like this. So that could be pretty cool too. And Jonathan is asking if you can derive the model, so do it the other way. And which is I don't know, that may be something we can also explore, right? try to infer the model based on the test that you're defining. Pretty cool too.
Small question:
Okay.
how are you doing the transformation from the DSL to JSON?
We wrote a CLI tool ourselves in Go for some task, for example, upload authorization models. Also, what we do sometimes, because we have our old permissions model, our legacy ones, and the new one, and sometimes when we are migrating features, we need to make some kind of I don't know how to say it in English, but all the relations that exist in the legacy, we have to import in massively, so we can import with like CSV, just 2 columns of IDs, and with the command line, I can say import for the first column is type user, second column is type entity, and the relation is administrator, for example, and it will import massively. And so we did a part that transformed this YAML into the model, the OpenFGA model. But first, it's an internal model that we present the given, then extra, and then I transform it to make the query, the checks query.
I would love to add a lot of that functionality to the CLI. That's amazing.
Cool. So we have another demo now that Daniel is going to walk through us a few improvements we mentioned in the language and a few other things that are working in his machine that he's also working on. So Daniel, if you want to share.
Will do. So the first thing to show off is mixed operations. So I've just dumped a whole lot of possible relations from our test code here to demonstrate kind of the new syntax and some of the abilities and constraints of using mixed operators. So in the first one, we can see like we've got base and allowed being intersected here, and then a but not operation being applied. This can be extended out to a number, or maybe not that, expanded out with the same set of operators that exist inside of parens. Relation 4. You can build off that. The rest of these are just various examples of the way you could kind of structure your relationship definitions. I won't go into all of them because it's so easy and free to be able to mix these up, we can also be done with not only just the relationships, but also with direct assignments. Hopefully this is all viewable for you all. Do I need to zoom in, or does this pass? All good? All good. Cool. So some of the things that are restricted here that we don't support as it currently stands is the first being direct assignment in the anywhere else other than the first place. So if we were to define direct, if we were to have, I'm not sure, base and user, we're going to get a error here, not in the most legible way. We'll be working on improving the error messages, but here you can see where we're preventing the use of direct assignment if it isn't in that first place. For other operators, we can chain them, so we can say allowed or base or blocked or relationship, and we can go along like that. But we prevent the mixing of operations. So I can't just say and relationship one. If you wanted to model this, you would need to insert parens, and then we have a valid relationship. The last restriction we've got is according to but nots. So the relationship, again, let's go allowed, but not base, but not blocked. We're going to get an error there. And the way to model this would be, again, to add some parens. But while ands and ors can be used to chain for the relationship for as long as you want, as long as they're in the same set of parens, but nots are only allowed to be used once, and then you have to open a new paren to use it again. But yeah, it's as I understand, this has been used in the JS functionality for a while now. Sorry, the JSON representation rather, and this is bringing it to the DSL. Yeah. If there's anything I can answer before I move on and show you what I've been slaving away at for the last day or two.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Daniel. I don't know if you want to show the other thing that you were working on.
Yeah, sure. So this is we've really started working on doing validation for our YAML representation, the YAML stores. We can see here we've got a model, predefined model, and then we've got our tuples defined, and test cases, and a fair amount of the structure need for testing. And what I've been working on for the last few days is introducing kind of contextual validation for between the model and the data that's being used in the tuples and the rest of the document, as it were. So just like I'm not all the way through. There's still work to go, but we can see some really basic validation happening. That's not only structural. So if I was to break here, tuple's not a recognized key. We've got a schema being applied to ensure that the structure of this the YAML document is as expected. But we've also got now some contextual validation. So if say, say I fat finger a value or something for bank. If I break bank, we can see that tuples that reference bank are now reporting that there's an error, and this goes on for every tuple that has this reference. Inversely, if I was to break a reference here, so if I was to try and say something other than bank, it's going to tell me that it's not a valid tuple. Again, error messaging needs some improvement, but it's detected that that relationship does not exist. It's not defined. Oh, so that type is not defined rather, and is throwing an error. So I'm quite hopeful that as we go along, this helps really improve the overall user experience when writing these quite complicated documents. But yeah, again, happy to answer any questions, but this is, I think I'm relatively close to finishing at least the initial validation of these YAML stores.
Great. So I will be one of the main users of this feature because I always make mistakes when I demo the product and I don't figure out why, right? And now the validations will help me understand where I made a mistake. So thank you very much, Daniel, for this.
No worries. It's been fun working on.
Great. So perfect. Let me go back sharing this. So we're done with demos. We have a couple of more things to share. So this is where, if you go to our public roadmap, we usually have the things that are in progress and what's coming next. Okay, so we had in progress these conditional relationships things we shipped. We also have the Java SDK we shipped. Now we're working on this nested user rewrite operands, which is what Daniel just demoed, and still working on the Visual Studio Code plugins. We shipped a lot of things, but we're still iterating on those. And the next thing we're starting to work now is what we call modular authorization models that I'm going to explain it now. And then next is, on top of those modular models, we want to build better options to authorize who can call the OpenFGA API. In particular, if you have multiple, we can have multiple client secrets and or shared secrets, and depending on the secret, have different authorization options and different actions you can perform in the server. And also a new SDK for Rust, and an API we're calling list users that will give you know all the users that have a specific relationship with specific documents, right? Today we have list object, which is all the objects that a user has a relationship with. We're going to have like the opposite one for users, all the users that have a specific relationship with a specific object. So those are coming. And the one, so there's an RFC that we love you to take a look at if you want, and which describes this modular models idea. This example is like if you're Atlassian and you're building Confluence and Jira. It's funny because yesterday I demoed this to Atlassian. I had, if you are Atlassian and you are building Confluence and Jira. Anyway, so, and the idea here is that you probably want each team to manage their own authorization permissions, right? So you have the Confluence team has certain entities, the Jira team has certain entities, and there are certain other entities that are global across the company, right? And you want to be managed by different teams. So the idea is that you can decompose the model in different modules that you will be able to combine them with the CLI before pushing that model to the server. So this is more like a syntax sugar that will be handled by the language in the CLI more than a change in the server. We might need changes in the server depending on what you want to do, but for now, we are trying to scope with that. And but just to explain the scenario here, you have module core. In the Confluence module, you import core, and you can reference to types that are I say base organization. This is wrong, it should be core organization. But when we define to relate to a type, want to reference a type that is in another module, we just put the name of the module before, like core organizations is pointing to this, right? Core user is pointing to this. There's a feature that we don't know if we need to build, which is this one that is the extends. The scenario there is we assume that every module will need to add some permissions that are global. For example, how do you know who can create a space, right? That permission cannot live in the space because the space you need to add is already created if you are creating a tuple for that. So to create a space is a relationship that needs to happen at the team level, or the project level, or the organization level. And there may be a type that you don't control in your specific module. In this case, we're saying can create a space needs to be a permission that lives in the organization. And so now, if before creating a space, I will ask, can this user create a space in the org, right? So we don't know if it makes sense to add it here, or we should just tell, just go and define it in the organization type directly, right? Instead of extending it from another module, right? So we are discussing that and other things in the RFC. So what we will love is if you think you have scenarios like for this problem, try to use the syntax to model your use cases and see if it kind of works or not, and let us know how that works, right? If you feel that this is expressive enough, and if you need more, if you have questions, please help us refine it in that RFC, and so we can, before start building it, we have a better idea of what we want to build with your help. And Any comments or questions about this?
This is amazing. Like Pauline said, we are really looking forward for this feature. We highly need this internally. This is really
Awesome.
cool.
Yeah. Okay, so please try to write it with the syntax and see if that if you think that will work. Okay, and
Will do.
perfect. Okay, great. So, and then the other thing is have some community news. One is that our friends, so we've been there. There's the GoDaddy team join these calls pretty often. You might have seen Jacob joining like every once in a while, and they just published a blog post of how they are using OpenFGA at GoDaddy, and which is pretty cool. And they ended up writing their own DynamoDB adapter to do this because they're that kind of strong DynamoDB users, and we have an open DynamoDB adapter that we use internally for the Okta FGA product that we also plan to open source. And but anyway, so this is interesting. And the other thing, this is also public information, but this was kind of they shared this with us, is that so Canonical has been using OpenFGA for a while. And Canonical has a single SKU, a single product they sell, which is Ubuntu Pro. And starting like April next year, if you're using Ubuntu Pro, you're going to be using OpenFGA in a lot of components because they are integrating it a lot of places in their stack, right? So that's also pretty cool to see. They have more plans to adopt OpenFGA that we'll probably announce and communicate in early next year. So we're also pretty excited about the work they are doing. And I think that's it. So if you have any questions or comments or whatever you want to share, please feel free. And if not, we'll see each other in a month if you want.
Have a happy holiday then.
Thank you, Carlos. Happy holiday for everyone else too.
Happy holidays.
Okay, thank you everyone, and then hopefully we keep seeing each other in these meetings. They're a lot of fun for me, and hopefully we can also be building OpenFGA together. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Happy holidays.
Thanks for the
Bye-bye.
invitation.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Pauline and Agicap team. It was really great having you here.